Hello everyone. So today we are going to discuss about chapter 11 of class 7 science regarding the transportation in animals and plants. As the term suggests, this chapter relates to the movement of food and water plus the gases which are present in various animals and plants. So we'll be taking different examples to understand this concept. Topics to be covered in this chapter are the importance of transport system in organisms, the human circulatory system, transportation in plants, and excretory system of various other animals. When we talk about introduction, that is to stay alive, all living organisms need to transport materials like food, water, oxygen to various parts of the body. So we eat food, but that food is taken from mouth. We know it goes to our digestive system, it gets digested, absorbed by the intestine. But after that, how does it reach to the different body parts? Then we take water. Water also goes into the system. But how is it going to each and every cell of our body? The oxygen that we are breathing in through our lungs, where is it going? How is it reaching to the body, different body parts? Is what is transportation. Food and oxygen are transported to all the cells in the body for respiration and growth. So these are the things which are taken in. Now there are things which have to be thrown out of your body. So when all these systems, when all these things are absorbed, there'll always be certain byproducts, certain extra things, which some waste products which will have to be thrown out of the body. So again, that's a part of transportation, and that process is the excretion. Now, the transport system. So the living things, both plants and animals, including man, need a transport system. Now we know to take in food, water, oxygen, and to excrete the waste products. Now transportation in animals. So all organisms, they need food, water, oxygen for survival, and they need to transport all of this. Even waste has to be transported. Now this system of carrying all the above mentioned functions is called a circulatory system. Circulatory because it is in a circle. It moves in a circle. Something comes out, goes out. Again, a new thing comes in, goes out. So it's in a circle. That is why it's a circulatory system. The circulatory system, it consists of blood, the blood vessels, and the heart, which is the organ. Now the circulatory system, it consists of blood vessels, of blood and heart is what we have studied. Now human beings, they digest food, and this digested food, the water they take in, the oxygen that they're breathing in, they're all transported to all parts of the body. The waste products are also transported from all parts of the body to outside, that is to be removed from the body. The transport of substances in the body is done by the circulatory system. It consists of heart, blood vessels, and blood. Now we get into blood. So blood is the liquid which is there in our body, which is flowing in our blood vessels. It transports a lot of substances in the body. So it's the fluid part. In blood we have a fluid part which is called the plasma, and in the plasma the cells are embedded, so they are a part of the plasma. So when you make a lemonade, water is like plasma, and you add sugar and lemon juice and a little salt to it, and all of them have different function. The same way your plasma will have your platelets, will have RBCs, will have WBCs, and all of them have their own functions. Now RBC stands for red blood cells and WBC stands for white blood cells. So why red blood cells are called that? Because they have a pigment called hemoglobin. This hemoglobin gives it a red color, and this specific cell, it helps in the transport of oxygen. So this hemoglobin, when it reacts with oxygen, it forms oxyhemoglobin, and that is going to get transported. And when we have impure, that is carbon dioxide being produced in the body, and it has to be thrown out of the body. So this carbon dioxide also is being carried by the hemoglobin. So it's deoxyglobin, and then it gets again to the lung and then thrown out of your body. So white blood cells, they are the cells which helps you fight against germs, and they protect us from diseases. So if you have seen your blood report, when you're not well and if you have seen your blood report, you will understand if your WBC increases, the number of WBC increases, that means there is definitely an increase in the infection in your body. So if you have an infection, WBC says start multiplying to fight that germ, and that is how the number increases. Then you have platelets. Now, the specific function of platelet is to help in clotting of blood. So if you have a cut, the blood is going to ooze out. For it to stop, it starts clotting. There is a layer which is formed, and that layer is formed because of the platelet, which stops the blood flow. Now we talked about the composition of blood. So it has plasma, which is 55%. The fluid part is 55%, in which white blood cells and platelets are 4%, and red blood cells are in the maximum amount. Now when we talk about the type of blood cells, you have red blood cells, which are also called erythrocytes, and their main function is it helps in carrying oxygen and carbon dioxide gas. We have white blood cells, which are also called leukocytes. Leuko means white color. So they are called leukocytes. There are different types. You don't have to get into detail in grade 7, but you should be aware, because when you see a blood report, see, the best way to learn blood is to actually see a blood report of your family member or of yours, if you have done it, and understand the different components of blood and what is the normal amount. And if it's not normal, then it is darkened over there. So if it's abnormal, then why the number is increase or decrease of a particular cell, find out, and it will help you to understand which part of the body is having a problem. So white blood cells will have neutrophil, eosinophil, basophils, lymphocytes. So all these components, they help in fighting infections. Now the blood cells. So we talked about hemoglobin. It's the red pigment which carries oxygen to the cell. The function of hemoglobin, it is found in red blood cells. It has high oxygen concentration, so it forms oxyhemoglobin. It's there in this formation of oxyhemoglobin is there in the lungs, and when there is a low oxygen concentration, then this oxyhemoglobin, it releases oxygen to the body cell, so it helps the cells to breathe in. The blood with oxygen is actually bright red, and that is why you get a high hemoglobin rate if your blood is having good oxygen. This is the normal level that you will be able to see in your report also. So as a child, you should see what is your normal hemoglobin level. Now, based on the functions of different cells that we have seen, the functions of blood can be derived upon. So the first function is it has plasma which contains different cells suspended into it. The second is it helps in transportation of digested food from intestine, where it is getting absorbed by the blood vessels to different parts of the body. It carries oxygen from the lungs to cells of the body, and it helps in transport of waste from removal from the body. Now RBC helps in oxygen transport, and white blood cell, they help in fighting germs, and platelets, they help in blood clot. Then we go to blood vessels. So, we have something called blood vessels. So, blood vessels are actually the tubes in which the blood is flowing. So, your first organ in circulatory system was blood. The second organ is now blood vessels. Blood vessels are of three types. The first one is arteries. They carry oxygen, rich blood from the heart to all parts of the body. So, when you're breathing in, and when we study about heart, you will understand how oxygen that is there in the lungs, it's getting mixed with the blood which is there in the heart, and it forms oxyhemoglobin, and then it gets transported to different parts of the body through arteries which have thick walls, and then there are veins which carry carbon dioxide rich blood from all parts of the body. That's the impure blood that you will have after absorbing the carbon dioxide. That from all parts of the body needs to go to the heart for it to purify, and then it is the carbon dioxide is emitted out. So they have thin walls, the veins have thin walls, and the capillaries are very thin blood vessels which join arteries and veins. Now there is something called pulse rate. Pulse rate, if you touch over here, you will be able to feel your pulse. So pulse is the blood flow through your arteries at a very high pressure, causing throbbing movement. So you'll be able to actually feel it. It must be here, it must be here. So try to feel it and count how many pulse beats do you have per minute. So that is going to be your pulse rate. It has to be somewhere between 72 to 80. So there is a difference between the pulse rate and the heart rate. Then we talk about the structure. So we have artery, we have capillary, and we have vein. You don't have to get into the detailed structure, but we know that artery is thick walled and vein is thin walled, while capillary is actually very, very thin tube. Now this is what we were talking about. So from heart, the pure blood is taken by the artery, and then it is going, and then the impure blood is getting collected from the various parts of the body, and then it is going to heart for filtration. These are few differences between arteries, veins and capillaries. The first one obviously talks about what do they carry. The second one talks about the how thick and thin they are. Third one talks about the lumen. So in arteries, lumen is very small, while in vein it is large. Then about the pure oxygenated blood. So in arteries, it passes pure oxygenated blood except the pulmonary artery. Now, pulmonary artery and pulmonary vein, pulmonary relates to lungs. So when we talk about heart, I'll be explaining what is pulmonary artery and pulmonary vein. You will have to correct the spelling of vein. It is actually V-E-I-N. Okay. Then semilunar valves are absent, while in veins, semilunar valves are present to prevent backflow of blood. Pressure of blood is very high in artery because oxygenated blood is flowing to the different body parts, so it's very high. While when it is carrying back carbon dioxide, then the pressure is very low. Then the flow is obviously because pressure is high, so it's going to be rapid, while in veins it is very, very slow. Okay, this takes us to heart, which is the pumping organ, and it pumps the blood to all parts of the body. Your heart is of this size. So if you close your face and you see like this is the shape and size of your heart. This is what your heart is. And in the heart, there are actually 4 chambers. 2 upper chambers are called atria and 2 lower chambers are called ventricles. The heart also has a partition in the middle so that the pure and the impure blood don't get mixed. So they are separated. So there is a partition in between which helps in preventing mixing up of pure and impure blood. Okay, so now we learn how circulation actually happens in heart. So this is the structure of heart. Blue represents deoxygenated or carbon dioxide rich blood. Red represents the oxygenated blood or the good blood, okay, the pure blood. Now the terms, there are very lot of short forms, very easy to understand. Upper part is atrium, lower part is ventricle. So upper has right and left. Right is going to be right atrium, right ventricle, left ventricle. So first understand the terms. Then we come to the circulation part. So we have a very thick vessel which is the superior vena cava. From there, the impure blood which the blood vessels have collected, all the veins have collected the impure blood from all parts of the body, is going to enter your heart through your right atrium. Then from the right atrium, it actually goes down to the right ventricle through the tricuspid valve. From that, after entering the right ventricle, now it has to get purified. So what happens is through pulmonary artery, it is going to go to your lungs. And your lungs are going to absorb the carbon dioxide from the blood and release it outside. And they are going to give oxygen. So when you breathe in, breathe out. So when you're breathing in, you are actually taking in oxygen. When you're breathing out, you are giving out the oxygen. Carbon dioxide. So your respiration and circulation happens simultaneously. So your carbon dioxide is given out, oxygen is taken in, and that blood goes back and enters through your pulmonary vein. It enters through your pulmonary vein. Pulmonary is for lungs. So it enters through your pulmonary vein into your left atrium. Now this pulmonary vein, left atrium blood is the oxygenated blood. It's pure blood. Lungs have purified it and given it to you. So it's left atrium. From left atrium through mitral valve, it is going to go to the left ventricle, and from the left ventricle through aorta it is going to get distributed across your body. Now there is a possibility that your right side can get mixed with the left side and all the blood is mixed, and that is why you have septum in between. It's a dividing wall between these two sides which does not allow mixing of pure and impure blood. So this in simple term is how your circulation happens. Now this is the structure of heart. It's a fee-sized muscular organ. It is centrally placed. It is in the center, but it's tilted towards left. That is why we feel it is in the left. Its normal heartbeat is 60 to 80 times per minute. It is made up of very strong cardiac muscles. It constantly plus. So your heart works 24/7, 24 hours. It keeps on working. It has to keep on pumping, and it uses veins, capillaries and arteries to get pure and impure blood. Okay, now we have the external structure of heart and the internal structure of heart. So when we studied about this circulation, this is actually, you should be able to draw this. So you see the superior vena cava, see the arrow, right atrium, from right atrium through tricuspid valve. It's a valve. So it has to open, it has to close. So when it opens, the blood flows out, it has to close so that the blood doesn't flow back. Then it goes to right ventricle, from right ventricle through pulmonary artery it goes to your lungs. Again it gets purified and enters through your pulmonary vein, if you can see the orange part. Then through left atrium, again there is a mitral valve in between so that the blood doesn't backflow. Then you have left ventricle. From left ventricle it goes to the aortic valve, again because it doesn't have to backflow, the blood should not backflow. That is why we have valves, the way we have doors in every room, the same way in your heart there are a lot of doors. So through that it goes to aorta, and through aorta it goes to the entire body part. Okay, now if you can see, there is something called IVC, that is inferior vena cava. So blood from your upper part to your heart comes through your superior vena cava, and from down, from your feet above, the impure blood comes through your inferior vena cava. Okay, so heartbeat. When the muscles contract, the cardiac muscles contract and relax rhythmically, it produces heartbeat, and you can feel it through your stethoscope, or even if you put your hand, you will be able to feel it. This is a circulation process. If I have explained you can still read regarding it. This is the actual process. So this is the lungs and the heart both together. So you see where is the high pressure, where is the low pressure, and according to arrows you will understand where is it flowing. So this is the blood pressure. When the heart pumps blood through the arteries, the blood puts pressure on the artery wall, and this is known as the blood pressure. This is how do you measure blood pressure. Your normal blood pressure is 120/80. This is different stages of your well-being, where the blood pressure fluctuates. It can go down, it can go up. Blood pressure, there are people who will have stroke and heart failure, then kidney diseases, heart attack, vision loss, while the people with low blood pressure are going to be dizzy because they feel very weak. So they feel dizzy, they feel tired, there's lack of concentration. So that's why your hemoglobin should be more to increase your blood pressure. Now we have seen transportation of blood. Now we'll see excretion, that is removal of waste. So we have kidney, we have two kidneys. Kidneys are connected to urinary bladder through ureters, and urinary bladder ending is urethra. The process by which waste products are removed from the body is excretion. It is done by the excretory system. Okay, this is your plant. So in plant also transportation happens. In plants, the transport of food, water, minerals takes place through special tissues which are called vascular bundles or vascular tissues. These tissues are of two types, xylem and phloem. Okay, so xylem is a pipe, a tube which transports the water, only the water, to all parts of the body. Now when we water a plant, you must have observed that water is never absorbed by the leaves or the stem or the trunk. It is always absorbed by the roots. So xylem is one way. From root, the water is going till the tip of the leaf against the gravitational force, while phloem transports food to all parts of the body, food and water. So phloem, because food is prepared by the leaves, and that food has to go maybe above also to the flower or below to the root. So phloem is bidirectional. So both direction, up and down both, it will flow. Okay, so this is what xylem is, how water and minerals are flowing. It is in one direction, while when you see phloem, both side arrows are there because it can be bidirectional. It is a two-way movement because water and food both are moving. This is how it happens in tree. This is transpiration process. I'm sure you must be knowing when trees or the plants, they give out water through stomata in the leaves. That evaporation process in plant is the transpiration. This is the difference between xylem and phloem. You don't have to get into detail again, but you should know the direction in which the water and the minerals are flowing in both of them, the reason behind it, who carries it, and the thickness of their wall, because thickness is important. So thick and thin, dead cell, what are they made up of, dead cell or living cell? So this was about transportation in plants, in animals, and in uh, other things. So the next part we are going to cover the rest of the things. Thank you everyone. We'll see you soon.